glorifies overwork, that makes you believe that if you're not doing all the extra things, that you're not even worthy to have your job or to be seen or to be heard, just to even understand that you're valued in your organization. You are stuck in a belief system of overwork. And I'm gonna just let you know that you've been tricked. Okay. You've been tricked to believe that in order for you to feel like you belong and feel valued, you have to do all the extra things. And I just want to tell you that take a deep breath in and out through your nose, because this is all a lie. This is all made up. I'm going to take my glasses off to tell you that you've been tricked. You've been duped. From the time I started in corporate America, I was told by well meaning people, especially well meaning women, well meaning Black women, women of color, that we've got to work twice as hard as men to prove ourselves. And don't do anything except for come in really, really early before people get there, come in really, really late. Now, this is not a narrative that's just for women. This is a narrative that's been for corporate America. And it's really kind of this narrative that I saw, this Socratic method of work. I saw, especially in the legal field, but it's across all corporate environments. And it was grown out of the scarcity mindset, this idea of people's ego that if I didn't see you working, that means that you weren't working. And also women, because we didn't have the same type of standing when we came into our corporate positions, that there were these beliefs and these assumptions that we could not handle the work. And so we started to teach one another that in order to be able to be seen, heard, and valued, you had to do the extra things. And so my job for you today is to tell you that's all a lie. But I'm not sitting here saying that you don't have to do good work, that you should do all of your work. And here's what I want to let you know, that when I went into corporate America, I bought into this idea. And I have a personality that tends to love to do extra work anyways, right? But I'm trying to do everything, right? I'm trying to get on every single committee. And when I started in my corporate job, I saw this idea and I just went with it. I went with all the committees. I tried to get on boards. I tried to do all the extra things, take all the extra work when it came into the meetings. And you know what? I actually did get promoted. I did get seen, but not because I was just doing my job well. It's because I was doing all the extra things, right? You see the difference? And I began to look at other people and I started to realize that they're putting in the work that's needed and still getting promoted without doing all these extra things. And I'm sitting there thinking, why am I so exhausted, so burnt out, so frustrated, and very resentful in my position? It's because I bought into that narrative. And I'm starting to realize that a lot of corporate women are burnt out, stressed out, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like can't take another thing. And I'm starting to realize also that when, for example, and I want to get this book out because I just got it. I don't know if you guys saw it, but this is called The Broken Rung. This book is when the career ladder breaks for women and they can and how they can succeed in spite of it. You see, by the time we women we get to a certain level in our careers, we're burnt out, we're tired, we're frustrated. And so going to the next level, we're like, why would I want to do that? Our priorities shift, right? We start to realize that we are doing all these extra things and it's beyond for us to take. All we want to do is go home and just forget it all. And that's for good reason, because it's too much. Not to mention that a lot of us are actually having children, which is the interesting bittersweet thing. It's a beautiful thing, right, to have children, but it's bitter because we don't know, are we going to be accepted even though we have to have children, right? So we never talked about it. We never talked about that. We never talked about our needs as women to be able to do what we need to do. And so I want to tell you that first, you have got to begin to understand if you're in this vicious cycle, if you're on the vicious cycle of overwork. How many of you can actually specifically say that you're in this vicious cycle, right? That you are, and I will call it here, that you are stuck in this belief system of overwork. How many of you can raise your right hand and say, yes, I am. I'm in this cycle of overwork? Because this is a mission that you have to say to yourself, and you have to believe and know. You have to know what it is that you are believing in, your basic belief system, right? Because even now, as an entrepreneur, there are times, and I will tell you, my husband can attest to this, is that I will overwork, right? I will begin to do all the extra things on a Sunday night in preparation for Monday, even though I don't have a lot of other things pulling on me. It's just almost this cycle that I believe I have to do. Some of you might be sitting here thinking, well, if I don't do those extra things, I don't know that I'm going to be able to keep up. Well, I'm going to tell you that you design your work life. Your belief system and the values that you have about yourself are a direct reflection of what it is that you want in your life. You have got to begin to design the lifestyle and the work style that works for you. And you have got to believe that you are valued enough to do that, that you can do your job and do your job really, really well in a work style that works best for you. How many of you would agree that that's something that you can attain, right? If you don't believe that, then we are going to have a fundamental issue, right? But my goal with you today is to let you know that that's possible. It is possible. So, what I want to do is I want to actually pull out my weekly download. For those of you who receive these in your email, you are doing very, very well, because you are being fed every single week the opportunity to begin to think differently. Because everything that I'm teaching you as a corporate woman, it's deep within your psychological makeup. It's deep within the way in which you have your habits. And so, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to have you shift your habits, have you shift your focus to a better way, right? So that you can be able to step in rooms. I want you to be able to step in rooms because you know you belong, not because you're looking around to see that you belong, because you already know you belong. So I'm going to take a moment, I'm going to put my glasses on, and I'm actually going to read to you some of the beautiful things that we put into this week's download. So I want to share with you, that this is what I did. I was bought into this mindset that I had to do all these things, but what I did was I began to shift the valuing me. So for those of you who we're going to agree with me that we have to shift our belief system. So your first shift has to believe that I am valued enough. And the more I began to value me, I started to write down my values. I started to realize, what did I need in order for me to be successful? What emphasis did I need to place in my life? I had a family, I had young kids. I didn't want to be able to, I didn't want to not be there for them. So I had to make certain that I made them a priority along with my work. And what I started to realize is that guess what? Success does not require exhaustion, right? Can you say that with me? Success does not require you to be exhausted. Because I think what happens with this broken rung, right, is, and I'm just starting to read this, is that we think that in order for us to be successful, we have to burn ourselves out, right? But what I contend is that when you focus on the right things with the right intensity, aligned with your values, you get noticed with ease. All right. And I'm actually going to type this in here, is that when you focus, right, when you focus on the right things with the right intensity, okay, guess what? You get noticed. And I love this, right? Because I think this is something you need to put into your tweet or a quote for today. So here it is again. When you focus on the right things with the right intensity, you get noticed with ease. So what I'm saying to you is that I'm not saying that you should not be intense. I'm an intense person. I like to do good work. I like to get things done. I like to win. I like to feel as though I've done something amazing. So I'm not telling you that you shouldn't do well with your work. You have to focus with the right intensity. The real shift happens when you stop proving yourself, right? And start positioning yourself. There's a difference. Are you proving yourself or are you positioning yourself, right? Because you've got to understand this is a focus on what it is you need in order for you to be successful in your job. And I'm just want to tell you this as a mom, I realized that, for me to be the most effective parent, that I needed to tell my children that I needed time to work out. I needed time for alone time. I needed specific time for me to revive myself, to replenish myself. And so before I would come home and, engage with my kids, well, I would engage with them, but then I would say, okay, give mommy about 20 minutes because I need to be able to go for a run, or I need to be able to, go to take a shower or take a bath. And so it taught them that mom needs this time to be able to get herself refocused. The same thing you have to do with your job is you have got to look at the landscape of your position and realize how you can get yourself positioned for success. This is strategy here because a lot of us are running around like crazy and exhausted and mad at the system. You're mad at the corporate system. You're mad at the man and they don't understand you. And it's because you're not strategically putting yourself in the power position to get yourself successful. Are you picking up what I'm laying down? This is what I'm all about, right? I'm all about strategy. I'm all about making certain that you don't fall into this broken rung that they talk about here, these McKinsey authors, that they talk about, and they've done the research that once women get to a certain position, they bow out, they tap out, right? Because they've bought into this trickery. So I want to share with you that I'm very grateful for these organizations saying that you belong, as if, they're giving you permission to belong. You already have to believe that you belong, right? You already have to step into rooms because you know you belong. Why? Because you belong to yourself. When you belong to yourself and you've got yourself positioned for success, you can walk into any room and know that you belong. So, and you'll stop, right? You'll stop advocating for the hustle culture, which we're going to talk about more tomorrow, you are on Wednesday, and you'll understand that you don't have to work twice as hard, and you'll start advocating for your worth. Does this make sense to you? So I want you to understand that this is something that I've been teaching. This is something I'm continuing to teach. And I want you all to come in with me. And I want you to be able to learn this even more. So I'd love for you to join me. And I'm going to put it in here in the caption. Join me on Thursday, March 28th, 1 p.m. Central Time, Eastern Time. And I want you to be able to join me for a webinar, okay? And it's about how to break free from the need for external validation. So I would hope that you guys could, take this with me. If this is something that you are feeling that you want to do, you want to start implementing this in your life, I would love for you to join me on this Thursday for a webinar. And I'm going to put the link in the comments. This is a webinar because we want you to stop overthinking, overworking, and constantly explaining yourself and pretending like you have it all together because your behind the scenes work is not complete. Are you picking up what I'm laying down? This is where I'm hoping that you will join me. This is Thursday, March 28th, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a webinar. Ladies, we have to invest in ourselves. I want you to get past what these authors call the broken rung. When the career ladder breaks for women, and it breaks for women because we've been tricked to believe that we have to work extra hard. Join me this Thursday, March 28th, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm going to give you the tips, the tools on why it's important for you to be able to break free from the need of external validation. Sound good to you? All right, I will see you this Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our webinar. I'll put the link in the comments. Until then, I will see you on Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.